Okay, so this is the topic. Actually, conservation agriculture is not a new thing. In primitive days, also, I mean, conservation practice was by default it was practiced. But now, with the modern agriculture practices and this green revolution, which demanded modern agriculture practices with huge manipulation of the topsoil and then actually promoting the losses of natural resources, mainly soil and water, and also, I mean, different forms of pollution in drinking water and other things, actually led to this understanding of conservation agriculture. Now, this term conservation itself says what actually it encompasses. It's all about the sustainability issue, that what we should conserve, the main fixed deposit of our resource base is soil and water and air and biodiversity. So if these are lost or any one is lost, then also the whole chain cannot be completed. And our agriculture, the second word is agriculture. So we know what this agriculture and what is the crop production issue and how to start and how can we conclude in this whole chain. But this cannot go without the conservation measure of our natural resource base. So this is the topic, although it is old, but it is now again in very important paradigm. So we have to discuss this and we have to know it. There are so many your research papers or articles or references on conservation agriculture you will find flooded in the website or in books and these things. But we need to understand the concept very precisely, and we should think how in your own locality you can advise to the farmers or to your anybody who is directly or indirectly linked with this agriculture to conserve these all resources. This is the issue that we need to ignite, and that's why this topic has been given to me to discuss. So what it is by definition or concept wise, this is actually farming system that can prevent losses of arable land while regenerating degraded land. So two things are mentioned here. One is we have to prevent the losses of arable. Already the pressure is, you see, it's a profuse. We are growing every 50 years or say every 40 years, we are doubling our population. So, I mean, there is huge pressure of food production, but this food production is only on the arable land, and with the increase in the population, there is pressure on the arable land itself. That's why we have to prevent these different forms of losses of arable land. Number one thing, in parallel to actually increasing the productivity of soil, we have to first of all prevent the losses of arable land, and also we have to regenerate the degraded land, which due to this say unconsciousness or ignorance or deliberate for some other reason, they call it development, whatever. So for whatever reason maybe, if we have degraded some of our land, we have to regenerate it. So conservation agriculture encompasses both of these two sides broadly. It promotes maintenance of permanent soil cover and also minimum soil disturbances and diversification of plant species. So, production, agriculture production is nothing but the outcome of genotypic development, which actually gives us the promise of ceiling breaking performance as far as yield is concerned, as far as quality of the product is concerned. And this demands two things. One is genotype, this is it, and another is environment. So now environment we understand basically soil environment and the atmosphere, that is above ground portion and underground portion. Now, you see, above ground portion is a different thing, again indirectly linked to the soil and how the crop and the vegetative cover and the forest is managed. This is also indirectly dictating the atmospheric factor, that is true. But directly speaking, coming to the soil, this is the area where actually we grow the crop. So that's why maintenance of permanent soil cover, I mean, only few centimeters of topsoil cover of the arable land area out of 329 million hectares of our geographical land in India, we have only 40%, 42% as arable land. And out of which again, the entire area is not cultivated 3 times. Maximum area is cultivated 1 time, then few 2 times, and 3 times is very less. So the cropping intensity is that's why low. Now, why so? Why it should not be cultivated 3 times? If you have say 1 hectare area, if you cultivate this soil or grow crop in this soil for 3 times, then actually it is the gross crop area is 3 times into your net sown area. That means 1 hectare into 3 times, it becomes 3 hectare area. So this is how the vertical expansion of this area can be done in one way in the time consideration out of the 1 year, or in any cropping system if it demands 3 years, 2 years, then also it can be done. So this permanent soil cover, we understand the topsoil cover where the organic matter is supporting the your biosphere, mainly in soil, which actually required for different conversion of nutrients and whatever we actually apply in the form of minerals, in the form of manures and fertilizers. Those are not the available forms, so it has to be transformed to available form. So for that, we need some microbes and also macrobes. So soil macrobes and microbes in the flora and fauna in both this, I mean, plant kingdom and animal kingdom group, they need their own food material, which is the organic material mainly. So also the BOD has to be maintained. So this is actually possible if you conserve the soil, and the permanent soil cover can be continuously maintained. Something like your, say for example, bank balance. If you maintain the bank balance, even if you withdraw some amount, then you withdraw 10 times, but you at least again recharge it. Or say for example, in mobile recharge, you do your mobile recharge for maybe 1 hour or so, 2 hours, but you use it for 10 hours, 7 hours, whatever. So you discharge it and you recharge it. If you simply discharge it, your mobile phone, or you only make withdrawals from your bank account to your ATM card, then after some time it will say sorry. I mean, no money, or in the mobile, no balance. So for that, you need to maintain the nutrient base in the soil, which can be maintained by conservation agriculture, because you are applying not only in the shape of fertilizer, you are applying the microbes, you are applying this micronutrient resources in the form of different organic matter. So this is possible only through conservation agriculture. So this one part, permanent soil cover, maybe for some crop it is only 15 to 20 centimeter. We call first-slice is 15 centimeter only, but you know the root depth may be even up to 2 meters, 1.5 meters. So, but still the whole depth is not required. Now the entire depth of soil up to the mantle of earth is too far, but we need only the topsoil, and that topsoil is our fixed deposit. That's what I have mentioned as fixed deposit. And rest of the crop harvest, whatever we get season after season, it's the interest of that fixed deposit, you can say. Now, second point is minimum soil disturbances. So this is one of the approach that unnecessary disturbances of soil should not be done. It promotes basically erosion, different forms of erosion. It takes thousands of years to form this soil. We have studied, we have understood, we have accepted by heart and brain that yes, soil genesis takes thousands of years. Then on earth, why should we disturb this topsoil? Because this is the layer which is prone to weathering. Weathering has given us the gift of soil or the gift in the shape of soil, which promotes agriculture. But if this weathering is allowed hugely in the arable soil, then probably it will ruin the arable soil within very short time, and it actually expands this or magnifies if the topography is say undulating. In northeast, I'm actually from Tripura. Maximum land here is undulating. The terrain is not your flat. It is undulating terrain, and that's why. And that too, we have got very high rainfall. And this is only not in northeastern India. You have got the similar thing in Tarai region, in say Western Ghat as well, in Himachal Pradesh. So you will get wherever there is hill or hillocks, if you expose the soil, if you disturb the soil repeatedly, then with the rainfall, because they also invite more rainfall in that area, it will actually ruin the thousands years product called soil in no time or very less time, maybe even 3, 4, 5 years. So this is one of the thing, and this diversification of plant species, this is yet another thing which actually promote this conservation agriculture, because some may take up heavily, profusely, but some will not. What we are talking about, the inputs. We are talking about different inputs. Let it be water, let it be nutrition, let it be anything we apply, manures, fertilizer, as I mentioned. So whatever we apply, so diversification of plant species, if it is maintained in the form of, say, sequence cropping or intercropping, I mean, crop rotation has to be there. There should not be monoculture of only one crop or two crops only repeatedly. Like major belt of India, the entire Indo-Gangetic plain for so many years, since 1960s, early 1960s, this entire belt has developed into only rice wheat growing belt. This is the predominant cropping system of the entire country, rice wheat cropping system. So this rice wheat alone actually brings so many diseases over the period, number one. Number two, your disease and pest issues are increasing. Number three, soil productivity decreasing. And number four, I mean, whatever nutritious other choices were there, you have lost that over the period. The genotype of the plant species we have lost. So this biodiversity, which has very huge strength to give a spark in the form of breaking the yield ceiling. If we lost that resource and then repent for it, that we have lost it, we had it in our own very land, and this was actually native to this land, but with some other crop choice, we have lost that, then we cannot get it back. So diversification of plant species, that's why so much important. So further proceeding, you see, conservation agriculture is a farming system. Just to elaborate whatever we have just explained, we have discussed, this is a farming system that can prevent losses of arable land while regenerating degraded land, and promotes maintenance of permanent soil cover, minimum soil disturbance, and diversification base. Okay, so this, it enhances biodiversity and natural biological processes above and below the ground surface, which contribute to increase water and nutrient use efficiency and to improve and sustain crop production. So this is one. And this conservation agriculture, in short, it is denoted as CA. These principles are universally applicable to all agricultural landscapes and land uses with locally adapted practices. This is yet another point, locally adapted practices, because conservation agriculture is not mere a chapter of, say, India. It is the chapter of the whole world. You see, if you visit the FAO web page, Food and Agriculture Organization, if you visit CJIAR web page, everywhere you find that conservation agriculture is the future requirement. We have to relook into this issue. And this main issue is broadly same, to conserve it, to prevent it from further loss, and to restore the already lost land. But local issues will be different. That's why it is mentioned categorically with locally adapted practices. Here, practices means maybe you have got abundant of weed. Here in Northeast, we have got almost 8 months, 9 months shower. So we have got very good vegetation. So we do not have any issue of biomass. So mulching can be practiced. So because we have very good resource here, that's why this is all right. So we will not offer, or we will not recommend polythene mulching and other things, because we have other easily available, relatively cheaper source, and also ecologically all right source. So that's why locally adapted practices, these are the issues. We must follow that. We must understand this. So this is one example. Think about water, think about nutrition, think about the crop choice. So whatever, or even the locally adapted ITKs, indigenous traditional knowledge. So whatever the local people are having with the local resources, here we have bamboo. So the bamboo is also used for irrigation channel. I mean, it is not open irrigation. With bamboo, they are using it as pipe. So there are so many local technologies, or we call it ITKs, which should be also adapted to promote conservation agriculture. So soil interventions such as mechanical soil disturbances are reduced. Unnecessary every time tillage is not a good idea. Rather, because soil compaction is issue, number one. Number two, perennial weeds are issue. So you need to go for tillage, but it should not be repeatedly done. So seeing the condition, what type of soil it is, if it is very tight, compact, clay content is more, then maybe one summer plowing will be fine. Unnecessarily repeatedly plowing is not all right. And in the second season, that is Rabi, first is after summer plowing, you have got Kharif, we have made the plot ready. But in the second season, Rabi, we will not go for entire field churning. Rather, we will go for minimum tillage or zero tillage, so that we can reduce our churning of topsoil and also reduce our cost of production. How we can increase the farmer's profitability, or people are saying it with the voice of our Prime Minister, doubling farmers' income. So actually, we have to think about reducing the cost of production. Then only this is possible. It is not a miracle that all of a sudden income will be doubled by increasing the productivity. Production will not be doubled so easily with all the crops. Rather, with different approaches, we can reduce the cost of production. And with that, the profitability can be doubled. Yes, it is possible. So this is one of the approach. And another thing to avoid this one, action inputs such as agrochemicals and plant nutrients of mineral and organic origin. So these are to be reduced. Reduced application of all these chemicals are one of the way, so that biological process, naturally whatever is occurring in the soil, because we have studied soil is a dynamic body. So day and night, some or other reaction is going on, and that is supporting our agriculture process. So this biological process, without that, agriculture is not possible. And with the huge application of chemicals in the form of fertilizers or different plant protection chemicals, that actually reduces the biological count of the beneficial microbes, and in turn that will give very bad impact on the agriculture. That is already evidenced. Now, conservation agriculture facilitates good agronomy. Now, what it is all about? Timely operation, improves overall land husbandry, then for rain-fed and irrigated production, then complemented by other known good practices, including the use of quality seed and integrated pest, nutrient, weed, and water management, etc. So these are the agronomic approaches which actually we target for good productivity and good quality of produce. And this conservation agriculture is actually promoting this all agronomy. You talk about any, say for example, soil moisture conservation. If it is increased, then you need to go for less irrigation, less frequent irrigation. So it is not mere economics. It is the use of natural resource. Less will be required if you have conservation agriculture practices. So this facilitates good agronomy. And see, if you mulch the crop, then there will be less requirement of weeding. So again, another agronomical practices will be reduced with the conservation agriculture. You think about nutrition. If you give this, say again, whatever coming in my mind, I'm just sharing with you. Here, mulching, if you give mulching, then over period, it will degrade and give rise to different micronutrition to this particular soil. So it is not only for soil conservation, it is not only for water conservation and water holding capacity of the soil. It is not only for biological count, increasing biological count of beneficial microbes in the soil. Rather, it is also for nutrition. Because in the soil we used to give NPK and maybe sometimes calcium or sulfur or magnesium. But really we give micronutrition. So we have studied, we have understood that for completion of the life cycle of any plant with its first vegetative followed by reproductive cycle, it needs all the essential elements. So now, if we are applying only few in the shape of say manures and fertilizers, mostly fertilizers I'm talking about, then how on earth they will get these other micro elements? It is the manure, number one. Otherwise, through conservation agriculture, if you are applying any organic mulch, that is also recycled. And because it has this organic manure, whatever, or the manure, your mulching material, whatever you applied, because that particular crop plant or weed or whatever, or maybe water hyacinth, or maybe forest leaf litter, whatever. So because that plant has completed its life cycle, so it is bringing all this in related proportion, not only NPK, Ca, MGS, not only, I mean, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, rather all the other essential micronutrition in package in relative proportion of requirement back to the soil, which promote now your crop cultivation. So this is how conservation agriculture facilitates actually different agronomical practices, and it is also the base for sustainable agriculture. Now I'm sure how it is base for sustainable agriculture, it is now clear to all of you. It also opens increased option for integration of production sectors such as crop livestock integration and the integration of tree and pasture into agricultural landscape. This means, or this implies to the cropping system and the farming system approach. I mean, instead of going for only monocropping of say rice, if it is two crops or say intercropping of 2 or 3 in 2:1 ratio or 1:2:2 ratio, 3 crops, then followed by another in Rabi, then followed by another in summer, then you have got wide range of choices in cropping system itself with the different types of cropping patterns. And going by different farming system choices, I mean, one step upper, that is if you, along with the crop, if you choose another enterprises of agriculture and allied activities like livestock, like beekeeping, like your mushroom, like your poultry. So here the written thing may be crop livestock, but it is not limited to only this. It can be anything and everything in combination, whatever the farming community in his village is actually available with or can afford, or he is actually used to, or he is well trained with that. Then he will buy, say, if it is a goatry, then goatry. Now, conservation agriculture, how it is promoting, how it is linked, you see, end product of one enterprise. End product means you have got two. One is the main product for which this particular enterprise or the business was, or the venture was started, and another is byproduct. Now, for cow, you have got milk, or if it is meat purpose, then you have got meat. But dung is there. So this dung gives rise to or promotes conservation agriculture and goes back to field. So this simple way, if you understand, each and every enterprise is actually connected, interlinked, A with B, A with B, then C, or B with C, or A, B, C, D. In this way, you can have so many different types of integrated farming system approach, which is actually why it is called integrated, because one is linked with another and promotes one another. That's how conservation agriculture is practiced, or conservation agriculture is promoted. Now, you see, in a nutshell, this picture tells 1, 2, 3. You see, first the broad thing, crop diversification. In the graphics, it can be seen that 3 different types of seeds. So instead of 1, 3. So this is explained. So genetic variation is the buzzword here. How you can diversify your cropping system, and how, and you see, this time, this year 2023 is by the FAO of UN. Actually, they have declared it as year of millet. So now, why millets have become important again? Millet is not anything new. Millet is our very own. In different parts of the country, different millets were grown, but with the pressure of price wheat, actually that genotype were a bit sidelined. Now, with the concept of crop diversification, for last few decades, again for last 3 decades at least, scientists, policymakers, everybody is actually up to crop diversification. So this is it, with the graphics only 2, 3, but actually the meaning is quite vast. Number 2 is minimal soil movement. So this is what is explained in detail. Unnecessary tillage is not okay. And then number 3 is soil coverage with residue of the previous crop or cover crop or both. So if we consider Mother Earth, we say Mother Earth. I mean, if we refer Earth as our mother, then we cannot keep our mother naked. We should cover our soil, arable land all the time. Possibly 365 days. Means a few days in between the crops will be, obviously it is open to sun. But otherwise, conservation agriculture promotes that maximum time of the year, the soil should be covered. And this covered is not covered with the your umbrella, covered with crop. And this crop choice, there should be one leguminous crop in the rotation at least in a year. So this promotes both conservation agriculture as well as by increasing the nitrogen in the form of your rhizobium or your nitrogen fixation through rhizobium, different species of rhizobium with the different host. You can promote not only pulse growing, you can promote rather nutrition capacity or the fertility of the particular soil. So this is actually one to another linked, interlinked. So these are the issues and approaches you can see with the pictorial presentation. It is quite clear. Proceeding further, you see the principles of conservation agriculture, three principles, three pillars you can say, or main base. I'm repeating basically in this principle head, principles of conservation agriculture. This is minimum mechanical soil disturbance, whatever we have seen in the picture, permanent soil cover, and also species diversification. So not to elaborate. And this is the thing with picture you can see conservation agriculture has got three main principles, and these are the thing it reduces the soil use. Okay, now benefits of conservation agriculture we have already understood many, but in nutshell you see agriculture conservation practices like conservation tillage, cover crop, and nutrient management provide many environmental benefits. So this includes improved water quality, because otherwise you see whatever we apply to our soil, this goes nowhere. We understand that mass cannot be created or destroyed. It can only transform and transfer. Form can be changed, so transform, and place can be changed, so it is transferred. So if we apply it to soil, some may be taken by the crop, which in turn comes to our dining table, or some are actually leached down in the soil and come into our water glass, drinking water glass. So this is going to groundwater, and then we are pumping and we are using it for our consumption and other uses. So that's how we are actually reducing the quality of drinking water. In our childhood, we used to drink water from river, from well, from pond, but now we cannot even think about taking bath in all this water. So who has polluted it? It is not God. It is not the nature. Rather, nature heals the thing, and we have rather polluted. So conservation agriculture, conciseness, and approaches should be understood, and it should be thought over that it is our own requirement for water quality, for soil erosion reduction, for improvement of soil health, and also yet another point is carbon sequestration. So carbon sequestration, the balance of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it is required. We know the photosynthesis requirement, first requirement is carbon dioxide plus water. So in presence of photosynthesis and your chlorophyll and sunlight, glucose is formed. So carbon dioxide is required, true. But the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, if it increases, then rather it is acting as greenhouse gases and global warming. So obviously carbon dioxide is not the single element or parameter for global warming, not going in that issue, but increasing carbon dioxide will obviously misbalance or disbalance the environmental gaseous layer and cause different issues. We can experience even this weather paradigm shift from month to month. We are getting it not matching with the average figure for last 30 years. Let it be for temperature, let it be for humidity or rainfall, whatever parameter we consider. So this carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere has to be balanced by locking it in the log. So it should not be burnt. If it is burnt or it is oxidized, then it will form more carbon dioxide, which is not a good thing for the nature. So conservation agriculture provides a number of advantages on global, regional, local, and farm level. Now, what are those? What are those advantages? One is sustainability. Now you have understood what is this sustainability all about. Then one is enhanced biodiversity. We have discussed carbon sequestration. We have just touched few points. and also labor saving, because if you have already conservation means, then so many operations are reduced or deleted. So I mean labor saving is there. So that's how it is economically also good. We have already discussed. So this also brings your healthier soil, increased yield, reduced cost. I think this presentation, if you want, I can share with you. These are otherwise also available from different sources. You can study. But because I have composed it in nutshell, if it is of any help to you with the team, organizing team, I can share this so that even later on you can refer, because word by word, I'm not going to read it. You can later also you can study it carefully. So these points I have already elaborated, described. Three major economic benefits. If you point wise say what are the main economic benefits, one is time saving and thus reduction in labor requirement. So that means economic benefit is there. Reduction of cost of fuel, machinery, because we are not going for that much tillage. So it is also another point from where I can save on money, and also time. Labor cost is also reduced. Machinery need not to be hired. You need not to go for fuel cost. So these are the things. Then higher efficiency in the sense of more output for a lower input. So this is what I just described a few minutes back, how to double farmers' income. It is not mere doubling production, rather reduction of input cost, and that's how it will be more efficient. Now coming to agronomic benefit of conservation agriculture, we have also discussed this. Just in nutshell, improve soil productivity. Yes, adopting conservation agriculture leads to improvement of soil productivity. True. Organic matter increase. Discuss. In soil water conservation is there. Yes, because more organic matter means more power to hold the water. Our soil, in volume wise, the topsoil has to be 50% your pore space and 50% soil solid. Out of pore space, 50%, that 25% and 25% should be somewhere your for water and air. With the drying phase of the soil, air goes up, water goes down, and with the wetting during the rainy or irrigation phase, your wet portion, or I mean the water portion increases by volume and air portion goes down. So when water enters, air expels out, and when water evaporates, then your air gets in. This is how, with the good textured soil, of which the bulk density is nearly 1.42 to 1.44, that is considered good because the sand silt clay balance is so good, which promotes this aeration and water movement. But now this movement, if it is not held up with somebody or some agent for longer time, then you need to go for frequent irrigation. That's why you have to understand the soil solid portion. In soil solid, we have 45% out of total 50%, 45% has to be your soil mineral, and only 1 to 5% has to be organic matter. Unfortunately, our soil is lacking organic matter. And this organic matter, because when it is disintegrating in the and mixed in the soil, then it is not only increasing the biological activity of the soil, rather it also helps it also actually hold very good amount of water, and which in turn slowly releases to the root zone, and crop can take up water for longer time even if the frequency of irrigation is less, rather the duration between two irrigation is more. So in scheduling of irrigation, one can go for minimum number of irrigation, which can reduce the cost and also save on the natural resource. So this is the thing organic matter is then soil water conservation and improvement of soil structure. Yes, yet another thing, because soil structure is actually bonding of all the particles, and organic matter has got a tremendous role in that, and conservation agriculture actually promotes soil organic matter increment in the topsoil, in the rooting zone, the rhizosphere itself. Next is coming to environmental benefits of conservation agriculture. So this protect the soil and make agriculture more sustainable. This is one we have discussed. Reduction in soil erosion. You see, one thing, when you have got rain is actually 0.5 millimeter and above, any liquid droplet of water which is settles or precipitates and fall on ground. So this is rain. Now, sometimes all of you might have observed that some raindrops are not 0.5, it is sometimes even 1.5 millimeter diameter, or maybe 2 millimeter diameter. So very big. So very big dia. So that means very good amount of mass, which is coming with a very big force and falling on the ground, is actually churning the soil and causing soil erosion called sheet erosion. So a layer of a good soil, top good soil, is actually churned, and with further precipitation, it is actually allowing this sheet of soil to erode away from this particular area, and then it is erosion. Now, with this, it is not stopped, rather it is now making rill, then gully, and then ravine. So with the rainfall first churning, so this is the first thing. If we can stop it or minimize it, then conservation practice or conservation agriculture is promoted. So this mulching or any vegetative cover, or continuously cover with integrated cropping system, or you see intercropping, one is with the tall height, another is short height. So it is actually favoring this conservation agriculture by covering the soil and not allowing the raindrop or wind also. Very strong wind also causes havoc, loss of topsoil. So both of these two are the strong agents of erosion of soil, topsoil, which takes thousands of years. So this can be conserved by these conservation agriculture practices. So this is yet another point. Then biodiversity increase and carbon sequestration we have discussed. Maybe you are getting few points repeated just for understanding. I have mentioned it somewhere in a line, somewhere in bullet, for this principles part, as well as the same point is coming in different for your shape as advantage part. So we have to understand this very categorically. Now, how to do this? Techniques of conservation agriculture. How to do? Prevent burning and free grazing. This is first of all that people is to still, they know it. Some of them know it, but still they slash and burn the land, especially during the winter or just post winter, before the shower. They burn it maybe because they feel it is less labor requirement is there. Simply you have to switch on the or ignite the lighter and then burn it. But we have to understand that one, carbon dioxide content of the environment is increasing, pollution is promoted by that. Two, or with the heat, the topsoil microorganism, beneficial organism are killed or population is reduced. So this should not be a good practice. This should not be practiced at all, slash and burn. Then free grazing. So again, this is allowing the opening of the soil to the scorching heat. So this is not a good idea. So free grazing should not be there. And crop residue, your grazing on the crop residue is also should not be there, because conservation agriculture promotes rather by this residue management as well. But parallelly, I must mention that what to do. You might be having this question now. Then how to manage these bullocks, because we need milk as well as cow dung. Then how to manage? So all the animals, for the animals also, we should have some good amount of land for fodder production. So they should be rather fed good nutritious food. We must go for fodder production, because much of the your countryside farmers are actually raising the cow and grazing the cow, but not maintaining it in scientific way. That's why not they cannot capture the cow dung, not even getting good amount of and good quality of milk. So rather, if it is in good yield, so there one can manage all the resources in a scientific manner, and they can utilize it for the next enterprise in chain. So make a mulch across the field, not more than two. Plant the main crop through the mulch at the correct depth and spacing. So main crop, and then also the plant leguminous crop cover through the mulch and between the main crop. Weed the crop as required. So this is yet another point. Weeding, if you do it late, then it removes too much of topsoil. But if you do it in early stage, it is not only your labor intensive, rather time intensive, and also it is taking up less soil or even no soil opening. So this is yet another point, that weeding is all right, but weeding has to be done at an early stage. It should not be delayed. Cropping system and farming system approach, I have already elaborated why it is connected with and how it is connected with CA. So this is yet another approach, cropping system and farming system for conservation agriculture. Now coming to the last part, that what are the challenges? So slash and burn is the challenge, free grazing is the challenge. We should stop it. So these are there. So that's why it is categorized as challenges. So in conservation agriculture, seriously, these are the challenges. Excessive use of herbicides, unnecessary. If you apply herbicides, then maybe your immediate result will be reflected, but over the period we are polluting the thing, and in cycle your soil will not respond good. If the crop is healthy, if the crop is of good uniform stand, then automatically disease and pest attack will also be less. So automatically you will have to use less PPC or plant protection chemicals. Similarly, if the crop is having bumper growth, then herbicide use will also be reduced. So we should think it in holistic way. All the points should be understood clearly. Then the application of the chemicals should be done, and that too in minimized way. Then wildfire is yet another issue. Some are natural and some are actually man-made. So this has to be stopped. This has to be reduced. This is yet another challenge. So these are in short. Climate smart agriculture is rather the point now. That's why it is mentioned in these challenges issue. What are the possibilities is also mentioned here. And lastly, seriously, I'll say think globally, act locally. I've taken this image from the net. This is very much connected to conservation agriculture, because we can understand the concept with a different light, but maybe all are not relevant to our site. Some are not relevant to your Rajasthan, some are relevant to Punjab, some are again not relevant to Punjab, are relevant to Rajasthan. So we must understand that the concept should be understood. What are the issues of conservation agriculture, global perspective should be understood, but we must act locally. Whatever we have, whatever we can manage, whatever natural resources we are bestowed with, we should accordingly decide our action plan. Thank you.